so we're leaving our lovely little bay behind us, Scawfell Bay. Oh, big turtle! I don't know if you got that or not. That was a really big turtle. He was massive. How awesome! We're so lucky. Yeah, so we're taking off from Scawfell Island, and we're just going to head over to St Bees just to see if we can pick up some internet. We're not having much luck with the satellite in weather, so we have to revert back to the old ways and just keep an eye on this low. Make a decision as to whether we run into Mackay, do some provisioning and pick up our drone battery, which we think has actually made it to Mackay, so it'd be good to go and get that. But if we haven't got time and the system looks like it's going to be a biggie, we are going to keep heading on south. A gorgeous day. Breeze is going to be in the easterly, about 15 to 20 knots, so it'll be lovely.
We're on a nice reach today. It's just lovely. Smooth sailing.
Just to pull into St Bees, which was only about 10 nautical miles from Scawfell. There's a little passage between the two little islands here, and we're just going to pull in there and rest up, chill out for the afternoon, and get a hold of some internet and do some more planning on our little voyage. Pretty little island. It reminds me of Canterbury in New Zealand.
With the headsail lightly reefed and a decent breeze, we made good time over to St Bees and Keswick, and found a good anchorage in the northern end of the channel between the two islands.
So, here we are at the beautiful Keswick and St Bees Island. It's a pretty funny little place. There's two islands that are anchored side by side, and you can anchor in right in between them, so fairly protected anchorage, not too bad. Although we have had a little bit of trouble getting the old anchor down. It seems to be a hard, quite a hard bottom, and the old anchor's just got nothing to bite into. So anyway, 3 hours later, and we've finally found something for it to bite into. Anyway, that's pretty good. We found a little bit of internet here, so that cyclone that's up north of us at the moment, it looks like it's going to go in just a bit north of us, and that takes the pressure off a little bit. We've been trying to claw our way south into these southeasters, so it hasn't been a whole lot of fun. Anyway, that's sailing. Yeah, so it looks like we're only going to get a little bit of a blow off at 30 or 40 knots, so it won't be too bad. We're going to head over to Mackay tomorrow and do a bit of a reprovision, and yeah, probably have a long hot shower.
Meanwhile, Meg had found a disturbing problem in the aft cabin.
So that, dear friends, is this morning's problem. The new year is not going on with a very good start, I have to say. Yeah, so I was wondering why our clothes, this is our clothes cupboard in our aft cabin, and I was wondering why our clothes were starting to get a bit damp. In the wet season things do get a bit damp, which is why I keep an eye out on them, but yeah, it was a little unusual, so I put my finger in the back and there's water along all of the ribs which means that our tow rails are leaking. I don't know if you remember, but about a year or so ago we went through a massive job pulling apart all of our tow rails and redoing our chain plates and sealing them up with this magic stuff, Fixtech 15 or Fix 15, which is supposed to be the new Butte product. Better than silicone, better than some other stuff that you get from America, just the new Butte stuff. So we used it, and we've been doing some really hard sailing in the last couple of weeks to try and clear away from this bad weather. And also the wet season has started in earnest, so it's been rain and tow rails under the water, and that water is salt water. So yeah, really disappointing. A lot of work ahead of us, and we're pretty much frustrated and gutted and sitting in a very rolly Anchorage right now.
Not wanting the situation to get any worse, I set about mopping up the water and cleaning out the mould explosion that had occurred in our clothes and in the cupboards.
Bloody hell, what are you doing in there? Funny place to be cleaning. It's quite a big cupboard when you do that.
That's actually quite good that we've shrunk so much with this bloody detox diet, babe, otherwise we wouldn't fit in there.
I guess that's an upside.
While I'd been cleaning up, Darren had made some extra bracing locks for the saloon cupboards. These will help keep the contents of our cupboards firmly locked in when we experience heavy weather. Outside, the clouds were moving fast, showing us the wind strength outside the protection of our anchorage.
Wow, what a beautiful day it is out here. It's gorgeous. We've been here for about 3 days. It is glorious. What a great little hideaway from the busting winds outside. So yeah, magic. This afternoon I'm going to go for a walk on that little beach. I absolutely promised myself.
That afternoon we took a hike up the hill to check out the views. The channel between the two islands is quite slim, so with the tides here running up to 6 metres, the current can flow quite swiftly as it's forced through the gap. Next morning we were off to Mackay to reprovision.
Good morning. We've just left St Bees and Keswick, and we are heading towards Mackay to reprovision, pick up our drone battery and hopefully my meds, so we can get that all done in one fell swoop, which would be good. It's a beautiful day. We did manage to find quite a good spot to anchor at St Bees and the northern end of that channel, and yeah, it wasn't so rolly, so it was nice and protected in there. So yeah, it was a good spot to be in the end. And today we've got about 15 to 20 knots of breeze from the southeast, which is pretty much where we want to go. So at the moment we're fairly head to wind, and we've got a reef in the main and the full jib out, and we're cruising along about 7 knots or so, which is pretty good. It's pretty comfortable. We've got the old swell coming onto the beam at the moment, which actually looks pretty groovy from time to time. But we're travelling along quite nicely. I've actually sort of got us going a little bit high of our course at the moment, because when we get into Mackay it'll get quite lumpy because it gets quite shallow there, and we'll be able to turn around and have the wind more on our beam. It's a gorgeous day. The sun is shining and it's lovely and warm on our backs. Loving it.
Yeah, we haven't got water flying over the bow on this tack. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see if we can get some water over the bow later on.
I like my technique.
I love your technique, babe.
Over the shoulder.
You're a genius. Has anyone else noticed that Darren's earlobes are flapping in the breeze? I thought that's pretty cute, actually. So yeah, we're tripping into Mackay. Yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge actually, our whole provisioning, since we've changed our diet. Like previously we could use all of our vegetables that we bought and pad them out with rices and pasta and you know, breads and cereals and whatnot, but now that we're not eating any of that, we're only eating fresh fruit and vegetables. This last sort of 6 months of travelling has really proven quite challenging for us. What it's meant really is that we haven't been able to spend the long months that we would like to spend out on reef and exploring areas. We've had to come back maybe every 2 weeks, I guess. We've had to really be back at land, which has been quite restrictive on our travelling and has actually been a little bit stressful, I must admit, because it means we're now running to deadlines. And yeah, including sort of doctor's appointments, medical appointments, trying to get shiploads of herbs shipped in at the right time, at the right destination, and for us to make it there on time. So it does has added a higher level of stress to our travels in a way, but we have managed it, haven't we, babe?
Yeah.
So far so good. But what we have been doing is buying frozen vegetables and frozen fruit, and they've been proving really good, and they're snap frozen, so one would hope that they've got lots of nutrients in them, and padding things out that way. We've been trying to buy most of our fresh fruits and veggies at markets rather than in supermarkets, which is challenging because not everywhere that we land has a Saturday market, and we're not always there on a Saturday. But buying fruit green and vegetables slightly less green has been a good way to get around that. The bananas, for example, when they start going off, we will then freeze them down, so they'll last a lot longer. We'll get more use out of them, I should say, putting them in smoothies and whatnot. And we buy a lot more root vegetables, kumaras and beetroot and vegetables like that will last a lot longer. Cabbages last a lot longer as well. So that's a bit of a chat about our provisioning. Yeah, but as far as the whole fruit and veg diet goes, as much as it has its challenges, we are actually feeling a lot more vibrant in ourselves and a lot healthier. So it is definitely a better diet to be on.
Thank you for joining us for a peek into our daily lives. Join us next week as we sail to the Percy Isles to catch up with our buddies, Troy and Pascal. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button to ensure that you get notified of our next release, and share our channel with your friends. To follow us in real time, check out our Facebook and Instagram pages, and find more about us on our website. If you'd like to support our production, consider joining our Patreon family. Get direct connection with us and nab the chance to come aboard. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you all next week.